Alright, Chapter 2, Hardware. Neets Module 22. Learning about the completion of the chapter, you'll be able to do the following. Explain the CPU to describe the function of the different sections, category of the type of the storage and their functions, describe how storage is classified, analyze, compute, analyze and compare input output device, explain the function, components of the tools of the computer system are grouped into one or two categories: hardware, software. Refer to the machine with the computer system. The hardware include all mechanical, electrical, electronic, magnetic devices within the computer itself. The central processing unit, all related to peripheral devices, printer, magnet type of units, magnet disk drives, units, and so on. These devices will be covered in a chapter to show the function and how they relate to another. Take a few minutes to start Figure 2.1. They show the function units of the computer system input, but the central processing unit and the output. The input can be only with the storage, with the punch card, paper tape, with the paper ink, or the magnet tape, disc, or drum, or they can be entered with the console, keyboard, cathode ray, tube, terminal, the data of one or more of the input of the processing unit. To the procedure output, the output may be the punch card with the proper paper tape with the magnet type of the disc drum, and they may be printed with the reports information displayed with the console with the typewriter with the cathode ray, tube, terminal. Figure 1 figure also show with the cat flow with the instruction flow with the flow of the control wheel. Start with the hardware discussion with the CPU, but move within the storage media. Just tape the drum will end the chapter with discussion input devices and how they work. General CPU, central processing unit, or CPU, the brain of the computer, the system of the central processing unit, the general refer to the CPU, the mainframe of the central processing unit is the computer, the CPU, the profit data with the stand forward. So one of the various input device to transport the either immediate or final result of the processing, one or many output the device, the central control section work areas are required to perform calculation, manipulate data, the CPU for the computer center of the system. Consider the control section, the internal storage section, the main and primary memory, the arithmetic logic section, Figure 5, Figure 2.1, each of the section with the CPU serve with a special function that has particular relation to other section within the CPU. Show the input magnet tape and paper input unit, keyboard, console, magnet, check the disc and drum, C, cathode ray, terminal to central processing unit, control section, internal storage section, input area, storage area, program storage area, working storage area, arithmetic logic section, output storage area, punch, magnetic card, paper tape, output, console, typewriter, printed reports, disc or drum, data flow, instruction flow of the control. Control sections may be compared with the telephone exchange, maybe to cover the instrument instructions contained with the programmer, such as the man with the telephone exchange, with the telephone number to dial with the cover the telephone exchange, the energy of the certain switches. Control lines connected with dial the phone, having the number dialed in the same manner with each of the program instructions executed with the cover of the control section, energy of the certain control lines enabling the computer to perform function operated with the indicated instructions. The program may be stored with the internal circuit with the computer memory, or it may be the read instruction by external media with the internal stored program type of the computer, generally referred to only as the storage program computer, most practical type of the speed of the fully automatic operation desired. Computer programs may be displayed with the number of the instructions applied for the parameter, the demonstrator for the program, execute them will exceed the memory capacity of the storage program computer. This for the program essential sectionalization of the broken down with the module, the one or more module that are stored with the computer memory. The register is easy accessible auxiliary memory. Then as each module with existing to produce the desired result, swapped out in the total memory of the next succeeding module reading. In addition, the command of the tell the computer what to do with the control unit and dictates how the which for the specific operation is performed, and is also active with initiate the circuit to locate the information from the store of the computer with auxiliary storage. Moving the information to point to the actual manipulation modification is accomplished with the form major type of the instruction, the transfer, arithmetic logic, and control. Transfer instruction are the transfer instructions are those of basic functions. With the transfer move the data from one location to another. Arithmetic instructions are those that combine two pieces of the data from a single piece of the data using one of the arithmetic operations. Logic instructions transfer the digital computer into one system with more than a high speed, adding with the machine with the logic instructs the program, may construct the program the number of the alternate and sequence. For example, through the logic instruction of the computer being given the inventory for the having one sequence file with the number to give it into the aid and greater than the order amount of another sequence that's smaller than the choice of which of the sequences will be made with the control section influence the logic session. Logic instruction thereby provide the computer with the ability to make decisions based on the result of the previously generated data. That is, the logic instruction permit the computer to be select the program proper program sequence that is executed from among the alternatives provided with the program control instruction to give the service send command the device and not undirected command or control sections as the input and output devices. Arithmetic logic section performs arithmetic operating, adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. The logic capability of testing various conditions encountered during the process of the take of the action based on the result of the indication solid error. Figure 2.1 data flows between the arithmetic logic section and internal storage section. Data during processing, specifically data is transferred with the need of the internal storage section, the arithmetic logic section process return to the internal storage section, and at no time the data done does the process take place in the storage section. The data may be transferred back and forth between two sections several times before the process is completed. The result of the transfer in internal storage and output unit indicate the solid area figure 211. Memory internal storage section. All memory internal storage section must contain the facility to store the computer data. Instructions are unintelligible. They are intelligible to the computer until the instructions data need for the performance of the computer calculation before the stored program computer can begin to process the input data. The first necessary to store the memory of the sequence of the instruction until the content of the other data will use for the computation. The process by which the instruction data read in the computer is called loading. Actually, the first step of the loading instruction data of the computer manually play for the instruction into the memory of the keyboard electronic using operating system discussed in chapter 1. So the instruction can be used to bring more instruction than is desired. In this manner, with a few instructions from the bootstrap, more instruction. Some computers make use of the auxiliary wired memory permanently stored with the bootstrap of the program, thereby making the manual loading unnecessary. The memory internal storage section of the computer, essentially with electronically operated file cabinet, it also has a large, usually several thousands of the stored location. Can refer to the stored address of the register. Every item data of the program instruction read to the computer during loading process stored files in specific storage address and is almost instantaneously accessible. Types of internal storage. You already know that the internal storage section is handling area of the instruction data that are kept with the control section of the control core. With all processing activity must be able to locate each instruction data item in storage. But you know probably wondering how the control section is able to find these instructions for the data. To understand the less of storage is nothing more than the connection of the collection of the mailbox. Each mailbox is unique to address the representation location of the memory. Shown figure 2 with the black of the mailbox contains the storage location contained, but the number of the mailbox and memory address that always remain the same. The name of the particular program instruction data of the item that held in storage can be located by knowing its address. Some of the computers can address each character of the data or memory directly on one other address computers works, which will contain the group of characters. Single address. Each computer contains a group of characters at a single address. Some of the more common type of the internal storage media of the using type of today's computers are the magnetic core, semiconductor, and bubble. Primary storage, memory location, magnetic core storage. Although magnetic core storage is no longer as popular as it once was, we'll cover some of the details of the concept of the easily understood. They apply to the general, more integrated semiconductor bubble type memory. The magnetic core storage is made with a tiny donut shape. The ring is made of Fahrenheit iron, and they're strongly rated with a thin wire. The thinness of the data of the computer stored in the binary form needs nodule 13. Two-state device with the need to represent with the two binary digits 0 for off, 1 for on, and the core storage with the Fahrenheit ring with the represents the 0 or 1 bit depending on the magnetic state. If magnetized one direction represents the 1 bit, but if they magnetize in the opposite, it represents 0 bit. This core of the magnet is the same with the electronic current through the wires on which the core is strung in the direction of the current determines the score of each core. 0 bit off, 1 bit on. Alright, semiconductor stored with the silicon chip. The semiconductor with memory consists of hundreds of thousands of tiny electronic circuits attached on the silicon chip. The these electronic circuits called the bit itself. They can be either in and off on the circuit with the representative 0 or 1 bit depending on the web of the no current with the found with the in the cell. Another name will hear the semiconductor memory chip integrated circuit developed in the technology level with a large scale of integration, which means that more and more circuits can be squeezed with the same silicon chip compared with any free manufacturer very large scale integrated with the circuit, which means the further miniaturization. Semiconductor memory chip with the integrated circuit, and some of the advantages of the semiconductor stored with the internal processing speed with high reliability, lower power consumption, high density, many circuits with low cost. However, there's drawbacks to that with the type of the storage files, which means all of the data memory is lost when the power supply is removed. If the power on your computer fails, you have no backup power supply. All stored data is lost. Okay, for the magnetic core storage, the core storage is not volatile. This means the data is retained even if there's a power fail with the breakdown of the core storage data for the performance charge of the rather than electrical current. Alright, your bubble storage. One of the last technological developments of storage made the introduction of the bubble memory. The bubble memory consists of the very thin crystal made with the semiconductor material. The molecule with a special crystal act with the time magnet with the polarity of the molecule with the magnetic domain can be switched the opposite direction by passing current through with a control circuit that imprinted on the top of the crystal with the man with the data stored with the chain with the polarity of the magnetic domain. Since the principle of the same, the magnetic core storage bubble memory is considered unviable and retained even if the power favor the furthermore product of the reading of the bubble memory is not instructed meaning with the data that is still present after being read. This is not the case for the core storage with much regenerated after being read. If you were to view the magnetic domains under the microscope, you would look at the tiny bubble, hence the name of the bubble memory. Semiconductor orthovariate material natural domain pattern magnetic bubble current loop. Classification internal storage. Upon this point, you have learned about the general function of the CPU physical character the memory, how the data is stored within internal storage. How to explain yet another way to classify internal primary and main storage. There to this type of the different kinds of memory within the CPU: read-only memory, random access memory, program read-only memory, and erasable program read-only memory. Read-only memory. In most computers, useful to have as often used within instructions with the bootstrap initial system of the computer. Other specialized program permanently stored within inside of the computer memory enables you to do this without the program being data being lost, even with the computer's powered down. This is called the read-only memory. Only the computer manufacturer can provide these program with the RAM, and once the down, they cannot be changed. Consequently, you can put any of your own data on the programs in the RAM. More complex functions such as the routines, extract root, square root, translators, and program language operating system can be called placed in the RAM memory. So for this instruction hardware permanently, that can be performed quickly and accurately. The advantage of the RAM is that your computer facility is orders the programs tailored to the need that have the permanently installed the RAM. The manufacturer, such as the manufacturers, called microprograms firmware. Random access memory, or RAM, another kind of the memory that you use inside of the computer. The random access memory, or the read-write memory of the RAM, is rather like a blackboard on which the extra down notes and then rub them out with a finish for them out. In the computer RAM, random access memory, the working memory, data can be read, retrieved from the written store for the random access memory, just as given the computer address, the location where the data is stored is to be stored. When the data is no longer needed, you can simply write over it. This allows you the storage again for something else. Core semiconductor bubble storage that also have the random access capabilities. Alright, programmable read-only RAM, or PROM. An alternative to the read-only memory of the program, read-only memory that can be purchased already by the program manufacturer of the blank state, either the blank of the programmable read-only memory. You can enter any of the program into the memory. However, once the program readable-only memory has been written, never be altered or changed without us having the advantage of the read-only memory. Additional flexibility to the program memory to meet unique need of the main advantage of the program read-only memory is that if a mistake is made entered into the program read-only memory, it can be corrected and erased. A special device needed to burn the program into program read-only memory. Erasable program read-only memory. Erasable program read-only memory, or EEPROM, was developed to overcome the drawback of the program readable memory. Erasable program read-only memory can also be purchased blank with a manufacturer program located at your main activity. Again, with the required special equipment. The big difference for the erasable program read-only memory is that you can be erased when either arrive. That programs can be retrieved over and over again without destroying the content of the erasable program read-only memory. They will stay quietly safe until you want to reprogram it by first entering erasing the erasable programmable read-only memory with a burst of ultraviolet light. This takes advantage because of the mistake made with the program. Erasable program read-only memory is not considered fatal. The erasable program read-only memory can be erased, corrected. It also allows you the flexibility to change the programs, include improvements and modifications in the future. Alright, secondary storage. The last kind of the memory will be briefly introduced. That here is called the secondary storage. Auxiliary storage of the memory, also have the main body of the computer with the storage program and the data for further use. When the computer is ready to use the program and the data, the read internal store with the secondary auxiliary storage media extend with the storage capability of the computer system. Need for two reasons. The first, because of the computer's internal storage with the limited size, they can also hold on to the data we need. Secondary storage data programs do not disappear with the power to turn off secondary storage and not volatile means for the information lost only if the user initially erase these three types of secondary storage, most commonly with a magnetic disk and tape and drum. Magnetic disk, the popular disk device for the largely physical with the direct access capabilities. Most every system has a micro, mini, or mainframe will have the disk capability. The magnetic disk resemble the phonographic record of the round plastic of the cognitive, the magnetized record recording material, iron oxide, but therefore similarities over the end there. Magnetic disks come from many different sizes of the storage capacity. The range from 3 inches to 4 foot in diameter and can store up to 2.5 to 6 million characters or bytes of data. They can be portable and they're removable and other permanently mounted with a storage device called the disk drive. The unit of disk drive, they can be made with a rigid metal hard disk or flexible plastic floppy disk is shown here 269. Permanent disk storage disk packs, floppy disk gets. Music is stored on phonographic record with a continuous groove with a spiral in the center of the record, but there's no groove for the magnetic disk. Instead, the data is stored on all disk number of the invisible concentric circles called tracks. Each track is designated number of being with the track 000 at the outer edge of the diff. The number continues subsequently toward the center of the 199, 800, and whatever the highest track number. No track ever touches the figure ever touches another. Figure 27. The number of the tracks can vary from 35 to 75, 35 to 77 on floppy disk service, and from 200 to 800 on hard disk service. Sorry for the read-write head access arm tracks and track 00199. Data is written in tiny magnetic bit for the on-board spot of the disk server, the 8-bit code for the generally U that represent the data. Each code represents a different number of the letter with a special character. In Chapter 4, you will learn how the code are formed. When the data is read on the disk, the data of the disk remains unchained with the data was written on the disk to replace the data previously stored on the same area of the disk. Characteristics stored within a single track string magnetized 01 shown figure through 2 the bit 1 bit indicate the magnetized spot on bit. The 0 bit represents the unmagnetized portion of the track off bits. Well, the track is generally smaller than closer than center over the disk player, but each of the tracks can hold the same amount of the data because of the data density with a greater track near the center. Figure 2H of the string of the bits written in the disk on a single track shows a track can hold one or more records. A record is set with a related data treated as even the records on the track is separated with the gap that no data is recorded. Each of the record is preceded as a disk edge of the address indicate a unique portion of the record on the track that used directly. Except the record figure 2.9 of the track on which 5 records have been recorded. Because of the gap address, the amount of the data we can store on the track is reduced. The number of the records per track is increased. The record of the disk can be blocked. Grouped together, only disk address is needed per block as a result. For fewer gaps occur when you use the blocking technique, increase the amount of the data we can store on the track. Show the data record, data disk, data address, characters, record, located address, or store. Capacity design this depends on bits the inch of the track with the track per inch of the surface of the UV winch determine all of the designer disk drive the unit of where encrypt the data density of the disk of the encrypted number of the track. Winchester was the code name used by IBM during the development of the technology designer. Originally planned with the dual disk drive that introduced the new concept. Each of the drive was to have the storage capacity of 30 million characters with expected to be 3030. Since the caliber of the famous rifle, the new product was nicknamed Winchester. The designer found that the data density could be improved with the storage capacity increased, reducing the flying height with dense distance to reading heads of the over the surface of the reading and writing. Doing this smaller magnetized spot with the code possibly precisely written on the red of the read-write heads were moved so close that the human hair looked like a mountain in path of flying head. Winchester technology reduced the potential problem by sealing the disk and the contamination-free container eliminates foreign objects containing the coming in contact with read and write heads. Data can be physically organized in one or two ways with the disk pack, depending on manufacturer of the model of the disk drive. They're using one over the ways you the cylinder method of the other, uses the sector method. The one disk of the data is organized using the sector method. On disk of the data is used by sector method. The cylinder head uses the cylinder. Uses a cylinder with a basic reference point. When you put in the figure 210 with the view A, you will see the disk pack containing 6 disk platters with the 10 recordings. So for the images you are looking down through the disk pack for them on the top of all the tracks with the same name number like the vertical together. They're called cylinder. These 10 tracks are one of the record surfaces when they can be referenced with the 10 read and write heads with the 5 axis arms, each with a discrete location with the axis arm or position. Show the axis arm, 5 axis arm, 10 read write heads, 100. 200 track cylinder, 25 surface of the recorder 1. They're physically referenced the records stored with the cylinder head method of the computer program must specify the cylinder number of the recording surface done with the record number that's shown with the figure 210 with the view A with the record with the storage so with the 25 of the recording surface the first record on the track with the special data with each of the tracks specified at the beginning of the track with the first record, the second record, the third record, and so can be identified. Another way to physically organize the data with the disk pack within disk as with each of the second with the method required with each of the tracks to be divided into digital stores as called the storage the view figure 210B view B. Number of the sectors of the system. However, there are usually 8 or more. Each sector holds a specific number of the characters before the record can be accessed. The computer program must give the disk at drive of the record except for the specified track number of the surface number of the sector number of the record, one or more reading writing heads. Then improve the proper track with a head over the specified surface to activate the data read from reading the designated sector of the spin and under heads. Show the track and sector method. Magnet type. Another type of the storage device magnet type, which is similar to the tape that you use the commercial with the tape recorder, mainly with the secondary storage. If the difference of the commercial tape, usually with the wide with the range of the 1/2 inch of the inch of the end is manufactured, the more rigidly quality specification is made of mylar base coated magnetic oxide with the magnet type of the stored data. The magnet tape comes with various length of 603,000 feet with a package of the 103 wave with one reel. Cassette is shown with the 2 level. The large computers use the stored open reel with 1/2 inch wide tape, 24,000 and 2,400 feet in length of the magnet type. You with the category of the type of the package. You can use the tape, human the drive the shown figure 212. Use open root of the cartridge, tape unit to leave the tape the cartridge with the cassette, unit to tape the cassette with the cartridge, tape the unit is often used as a personal computer to provide backup of the hard disk. This is an open reel, a cartridge, and a cassette. Then show you take up a reel, your hubs and supply reel, and read write and head assembly. It's standard 1.5 inch tape that may either have 7 in figure 213 view A with a 9 track with the 213 view B, the data stored with depending on the particular reading write head installed with the tape unit read write, and the heads are usually designed to read or write data in from the bits concurrently across the width of the tape. 7 track magnetic tape view A, the characteristic check bits of the zone and number bits A B through Z and 1 through 0 from the 1 9 tracks. Characteristic number bit 8 2 zone bit 8 4 zone bit 2 parity byte zone. It's a 9 metallic magnetic track view tape. The amount of data number of the binary 0 1 and that can be written and stored on the linear inch tape of the dome of the tape. The byte recording density, the common recording density of the multi-track tape, the range from 260 to 6,250 bytes per inch. They also known as sometimes the density tape. Refer to the number of the frames per inch of the characters per inch rather than the bytes per inch, and regardless of which of the term of the frame of the byte with the group of the related bytes the main of the single character of the written across the width of the tape, most magnetic tape capable of reading the writing with several different keypad densities. Magnetic tapes have many common features of the data recording families. Each tape physically is marked with some of the main indicated reading writing of the tape at the being known if the being on or off the tape, where it ends and the known at the end of the tape, the length of the tape between the beginning of the tape and the end of the tape is referred to usually as recording of the reading writing surface as a usable storage area. Beginning of the tape and the end of the tape markers are usually made with a short silver strip of the reflective tape 1/4 inch wide by 1.5 inch length, shown figure 214 the byte. The beginning of the tape marker is normally placed over the front edge of the tape, the side nearest to the view of the tape is mounted with the tape of the unit. The end of the tape marker is placed toward the back edge of the side farthest away from you, and the tape is mounted with the tape unit. They're placed approximately 15 to 20 feet with each end of the shiny side of the tape. Sometimes the holes in clear plastic insert with the U of the marker, then placed with the reflective shape strips. Regardless of the method, by beginning of the tape and the end of the tape markers are sent to the arrangement lane with the photo dyed. To indicate whether the reading of the writing is being beginning and end. Beginning of the end tape reflective marker, usable reading and writing, serve the reflective marker, end of the tape. We can make records magnetic type of the inside of the new will need to hold the data when restricted only by the length of the type of the capacity of the internal storage. For example, the record can be one character with the character without the character with the length of the calculation of the record is called the file. The file containing payroll record is called the payroll file. The file containing the supply inventory record is called the supply inventory to follow. The record can be played with the tape of the user separately with a single record that unblocked and shown figure 215 view A. With the multiple records can be grouped with the block from the shown figure 215 view B. For the record block with the number of records stored over the record block with the blocking factor, and the example of the blocking factor is 5. Show the unblocked a single record with the block and multiple records with the blocking factor of 5. All magnetic tape with it must be moved with a predetermined speed with the dab to be read with the written with the dab. The dab cannot be read with all the time. While the tape is coming up with the speed of slowing down and stop during the time of the delay with the tape move with the short diff with the create with the blank with the spot with the tape with the inter record the gap the inter blocking gap the separate with each with a single record with the block of the record with the tape with the length with the gap the vary depending on the particular side of the method of the recording approximately 2/5 to 3/4 of an inch length. With the signal record with the over the tape of the inter record the gap made longer than the portion of the tape of the U with the store of the record. Therefore, the tape of the recording surface is wasted to overcome the efficiency of the storing single data record. The normally block records in figure 215 view B with the note of the tape, but it's usually more efficiently the tape the figure 215 view A. Blocking allows for the more data to be stored with the real tape during the record of the beginning with the first chapter, the character with the same of the following inner record with the inner block of the gap, and continue until the next gap of the reef and all input record of the reef, the internal store with the accordance with the amount of the store with the set aside with the application program. Magnetic tape the storage media that offers for the several feature of the where stored large amount of the data in variety of the convenient packages, the open reel cartridges, the cassettes. Magnetic tapes are easily interchangeable between the similar tape of the unit with a different computer system with the tape of the less prone to the damage to other types of storage media. Magnetic like magnetic disc, the magnetic drum is another example of the direct access of the storage disc. The magnetic drum once you the name of the primary storage, it's not used as a secondary or auxiliary storage, unlike some of the disc pack. The magnetic drum can be physically removed with the drum, the permanently mounted with the device. Magnetic drum storage device consists of either of a hollow cylinder, this their name, the drum, and itself with the cylinder rotate with the constantly velocity 600 to 6,000 RPMs. Our surface is coated with the inner oxide material capable of being magnetized. A magnetic drum differs from the magnet differs the track with which with the dab with the store with the sign with the channel with the located with the round with the circle for the drum with the shown figure 216. This channel with the circular the coded representation data for your 216 show the use of the 9-track magnet type of the 8-bit code. The basic function of the read and write heads are to be played with magnet type spot for the little binary 0 and 1. The drums during the writing operation to send the spots during reading and operation reading and writing head of the drum perform the manner similar to the reading and writing head of the magnet tape than you with the disk drive. First characteristic track 200 characters reading and writing heads. Track the channel with the group of the sector of the English and the 216 does this sound familiar to sounds almost like the form of a disc back with the preferred of the track or cylinders of the sector. The drum rotate the reading of the writing curve of the specified sector of the given channel the path of the the reading and writing head of the channel. Some of the drums are mounted with the horizontal position shown with the one shown with the 216 while the others are mounted with the vertical position. Of the major difference of the design of the number of the read write and the head of the drums. Only when one read write head of the strip of the jam with the drum. In this case, they have to move it back and forth with the up and down. With the strip of the drum is required. Other drums have multiple read write heads have one principal advantage over the drum with a single head type. With the since one of the read and write heads is assigned to each for the channel of the read and write head movement is required. This time required with the head positions here. The only significant time required with the reading and writing. The rotational delay with the curve of the reaching of the desired required record location. To give you some idea of the speed and storage capacity of some of the high-speed drum capable of transferring a 1 million character with a per second with a rough equivalent of the reading stack. Over the punch cards 8 feet high with the 1 second of the storage capacity of the magnetic drum, the range is from 20 million to more than 150 million characters for the bytes of the data. Input and output device external. Input and output device with their similar operations to perform opposite function and through the use of the device of the computer is able to communicate with the outside world. Input with the data may be in one of the two forms: manual input with the keyboard console, analog input with the instrument and sensors, and 3 input sources of which the data previously has been stored on a former intelligible computer. The computer can be processed with 100 of the alpha of the computer words or comparative with the first second of the stove with the first of the manual input with the reflect the inability to human operate with the keyboard key punch with the supply of data at the speed over the match with the speed of the digital computer's high after speed with the keyboard operates with the 2 characters of the pair second of the code for the form of the computer word reduces the data input rate of the computer left of the computer word per second of the same since the mainframe computer capable of reading several thousand minutes. The amount of the information per second is clearly that the manual input of the should be minimized the more efficient for the use of the computer time. However, as the rule of the keyboard normal input media of the microcomputer for the input data previously has been recorded on paper to tape with the magnet disk, the floppy disk, for the format understood by the program may be also managed within the computer. There is much for the faster time of the entering the data manually from the keyboard, but the most commonly used the input device of the category magnet type of the U of the magnet disk drive of the flat of the disk drive unit. The output information is made available in 3 forms: display information code number, the words, and simple to represent the display the device like a cathode ray screen. 2 control signal the information can operate with the control device such as the lever the aileron actuator records the information for the store with the machine language with the human language on tape the disk with printed media. Devices display storage reading the information for the magnet include magnetic tape of the units and magnetic disk drive of the unit and floppy disk units and the printers and display devices. Alright, your magnetic tape unit, the input and output. The purpose of the magnetic tape unit is to write data for the, and the read of the data, read data from the magnetic tape of the tab and tape store of the data and then sequence with the sequential process of the computer must begin with the searching from the beginning of each of the record of the data, the desired data of the found like a tape of the cassette of the recorded music play with the fill of the song with the recorded. You must play with the fast forward with the tape play pass for the first 4 songs before you can play with the 5th. So the magnetic tape. 2 reels are used with the tape of the move with the slide reel to take up the reel. Both are mounted on the hub. Figure 218 which show the basic type of the drive neck with the magnetic oxide coded with the side of the tape of the back directly over the read right with the head. Something making the contact with the head, the magnetic tape, the unit read with the right with the dab with the parallel channel with the track along with the link of the tape with the shown figure 219 view A. Each for the channel with the track of the rib with the right with the head with the 1 each for the channel with the tape that moves across. Magnetic gap with the head, read right heads with me. With the read with the 1 gap with the 2 gap with the shown figure 219 views B and C with the 1 gap of the head and only 1 magnetic gap with the both reading of the writing occur. 2 gap head with the 1 gap of the reading of the writing and another writing and another other 1 gap of the satisfactory 2 gap head gives the increase read with the checking. While writing, for example, the tape that has been written on passes over the writing gap with the data recorded, the data reads and passes over the read the gap of making the comparison. Well, the method there for the detective almost instantaneously while looking closely. If you're 219 view B with the top of the U will know that one of the read write coil with the will right head of each for the channel of the track with the particular tape with the 7. It's electrical current flowing through these coils, magnetized with the iron oxide coating with the surface of the tape. Or sort of the supply reel, take up the reel, the cap stands, read and write about right head assembly. Basic tape driving mechanism. Records tape motion 7 track type tracks. 1 gap read write head view from the top. Tape and the read gap read write plastic metal oxide read write coils. 1 gap read write head set view tape. Right gap tape motion read gap. Alright, the major difference between the magnetic tape with the speed with which the tape is moved with the rewrite head, the density to record information. You know the density to describe the number of the binary digit byte bits frame that the boy can read on each of the tape. The most common tape with the density of the 800, 1600 bytes per inch, or FPI, or tape speed. The tape moving the vary with a great example of less than 50 inches per second with more than 100 inches per second. Over the fast tape, the unit reads with the rise of the specified with the character transfer with the calculated multiplying speed with the magnetic tape unit by the character density. Magnetic disk drive, the unit with the input and output of the magnetic disk drive, the unit with the storage device, the read, write with the information magnetized with the surface of the rotating over the disk made with the thin metal located on each side of the dab that can be recorded with the form of the magnetized spot. This spin around like music rack with the character that can be stored with the them are retrieved the direct man with the direct assessing the dab with a big advantage over the subsequent accessing the dab with a given fast immediate access to the specific dab without having examined each of the every record from your beginning. You can direct with the disk drive being reading at one point. This is like a phonograph record, but you can play with the needle at the point beginning and placing it at the point by placing it at any point. Okay, located with each of the disk drive, the motor rotate the disk with the constant speed, normally 3600 RPM with the, if you prefer 60 revolution per second with the rotational speed with the floppy disk, usually 300, 400 RPM with the plastic base. It has written down the track with the spinning disk first with the read with the with one more multiple read write with the heads with the reading with the head from the written with the hard disk, the rigid disk, the read and read write heads flowing on the cushion air with the do not actually touch the surface of the distance between the head of the surface varies a millionth of one and millionth of an inch and one half of a millionth of an inch. The distance is called the flying height with the multiple discs planted with the buckets together at even the displays dispatch number of the axis of the arms read write with the head of the axis of the bowl surface with each of the player figure 221. The dispatch is just shown consistent of the 6 metal disc. The amount of the central spindle of the DAC can be recorded on all surfaces except the top surface, the top disc, the bottom surface with the bottom disc, the two sources, and continually left blank for the protection. Or show the direction rotation top of the protection of the plate axis arm movement. So the axis arm, one of tenth of the read write heads bottom protection plate. Or your floppy disk drive units, input and output. Floppy disk drive with the physical but smaller with the magnet. Disk drive with the unit, the typical unit, the personal desktop, the computer with the unit, the consider with the disk drive with the disk, rotate with the controller, contain with the electronic circuitry, feed signal onto from the disk with the disk, the disk with the inflexible floppy disk contain with the magnet material with the sum of the character drives, record with the surface with the form magnetized. Floppy disk come in the double drive with the 3 to 8 inch of the diameter, the most common the 8 inch diameter, the 5 1/4 inch, and the 3 1/2 inch disk. Alright, the cathode ray tube display trim, the disk gauge drive, the keyboard, disk load spot, the LED access indicator, flop disk drive, point printers output. Our printers are widely used with the output of the device expressed with the code character of the hard supply pipe document copy with the figure 223 printer with the computer result with the number of the letters, words, symbol, the graphics, drawing with the printer range with the electronic typewriter with the high speed. High speed printers are usually used on mainframes. Minis prepare supply with a requisition page. Inventory financial report with the 10 lines per second with the type of the printer. We'll discover the daisy wheel, the dot matrix, and the inkjet with the lathe. There's one commonly used the personal use. Operating level, the power switch, and the power cable connectors. Daisy wheel printers. Daisy wheel printers have the most professional looking with the placing of the AI printer of all the printers in the character at the time of the input with the impact printer or the daisy wheel printer. They often use the offensive word with the processing environment with a crisp, sharp, high quality letter quality characters. Most of the daisy wheel printers around it. And Bose character with located at the end of each of the pedal-like projection. One character with the per pedal with a similar pedal with the daisy shown figure 224. The driving motors over the spin with the wheel with the high rotated speed with the desired characteristic spin with the correct position of the printer hand with the strike with the characteristic cup with the printing with the paper the one printed and the daisy wheel continue to move with the surface the next characteristic to be printed with the unit line that is complete with the speed of the daisy wheel printers with the range from 30 to 60 characters per second. 224 show the daisy wheel print wheel. Dot matrix. The dot matrix printers often known as the wire matrix print with the characters in the same way that you see the number of the scoreboard page football game. Contrary to the daisy wheel printer, the dot matrix the printers use the arrangement of the tiny pin with the hammer the dot called the dot matrix with the generated character of the dot at the time. Dot matrix printer has built in with the character of the wow with the data of the creative of the pins and matrix figure 225 view A show the dot matrix character that looks like it was printed. Alright, dotted matrix characters. Dot matrix printed mechanism viewed from the front. Allowable space for each of the printable character. The letter using the 5 to 7 dot matrix. Dot matrix defined with the term of the roof of the column. The column of the dots 5 to 7 of the base matrix. Use the up to 5 of the electric vertical column with the 7 of the dot with the created character for the example 5 by 7 of the matrix heading. The letter H is shown figure 225 UD with the 7 of the dot matrix vary with the 5 to 7 by 7 and large 58 to the 18 inch matrix. The number of the dot matrix print with the vertical column and the pin of the printer's character as shown figure 225 UB with the characters are printed with the mode and the sleeve stepping of the printer at a small amount of the printing the vertical column 1 at a time of the character of the print image shown figure 225 UC and D. Step with the matrix to determine the quality of the printed character. In other words, more dot with the U with the print of the character, breadth with the character with the fill with the higher printer quality dot matrix with the range with the faster with the daisy wheel print with the speed range with the 60 to 300 CPS of but the printer quality is not as good. Inkjet print the inkjet flow with the technique very similar with the which with the given ray of the paint and the central spray electrically charge the ink of the shot with the under the pressure toward the paper. Before reaching the paper, the ink is passed through the electrical field, which forms there in the matrix form of the present printing. The resulting form of the concept that easy to read with a high quality character. Some of the manufacturers use the large droplet of ink for faster printing, while others small droplet of better clarity with a slightly reduced the printer speed. With the printers can print up to 300 characters per second. Alright, laser printers can directly beam the light with a rotating difficulty with the full range of the printer character. The appropriate character image is directed onto the photographic paper with this boat on the tuner develop the additional copy of the printing of the resulting process of the character if the sharp of the clean image of the easily on the open. The printer can print up the 20,000 plus line, but the per minute with the 26,666 characters per second. Your keyboard input. The keyboard is nothing more than an array of switches with the code. The key switch of the keyboard is defined input of the code of the computer with the key switch to prove that each of the key switch of the key. The key, if the assigned with a particular code, variable usually improved the legend identified with the function figure 226 shown with the keyboard combined with the cathode ray tube microcomputer cathode ray tube display screen keyboard. Primary with the keyboard is enter for the input alphanumeric letters and the special characters for the code major group of the key switch of the keyboard milk and one of the two cell typewriter keyboard arrangement query Tavaria. The teletype key switch arranged with 4 rows 10 more switch with the keyboard arrangement shown with the 227 is the QWERTY row that usually offset row with above make it easily to reach all of the keys with one type within top of the individual key switches are sculptured can form the shape of the human figure. Show the function keys. The keyboard layout over the group of the key switch of the U with the special number of the entry of the calculator keyboard special function F1 and F12 the curve the control function the special function can allow with the operative special function designed with the software for example the word processing group you can spell check with the admin search of the practical portion of the test to move the text from one place to another printed hard copy to the document but there are a few of the functions allowed with however that may come with familiar with the computer will learn them over the cursor control of the key allowed with the different location of the screen. Design of the keyboard vary with the device depending on the requirements of the system of the keyboard display. The keyboard generally with the non-tactical computer system, however, the newer tactical display system comes out with the optional keyboard for the entry keyboard can be built into the display device and may be a separate component that connect with the communication cable. Alright, display device. The display device, the cathode ray tube, the other display of the computer terminal, computer console, the microcomputer design project show with exhibit the display soft copy the information alphanumeric graphics symbology information display with the display of the device screen. Not permanent, but they're aware of the terms of the copies come from the information available to viewing along with the display screen. Two types of the display device of the personal microcomputer says faster than the cathode ray tube and the fast flat panel display. All right, the raster scan cathode ray tube. The raster scan cathode ray tube TV scan video monitor display monitor that uses extensively display with the alphanumeric data of the graphically use the primary with the non-technical display. Applications such as the Snap 2 user terminal desktop computers. The raster, the series, the horizontal line with across the face of the cathode ray tube. Each of the horizontal lines made with one trace of the electron beam with the left to the right. The raster starts with the top left corner of the cathode ray stream. Each of the horizontal lines is complete with a blank edge electron beam with rapidly return from the retrace to the left of the screen. Starts with the horizontal retrace, vertical retrace blank end sweep. Remember in reality these lines are packed tightly together. They are spread out with the illustration only to give you the idea of how they are reflected. Alright, vertical deflection. The move of the beam down with the horizontal sweep, right with the vertical and sweep of the reach, the bottom of the line of the raster, vertical blank retrace, the sweep to the start of the position raster, the process of the repeated. Each completed raster is referred to as the field of the two field of the bank of the frame of the display of the rate of the field of the frame to the flicker display of the receiving human eye. Each of the field is made up of approximately 525 horizontal lines. The actual number of the horizontal line varies from the device to device. The frame consider the interlay lines of the two field of the horizontal line with the two field of the interlays of the smooth of the out of the display with the rate of 30 seconds per second, 30 frames per second to produce the smooth flicker-free rate raster the corresponding display of the screen. Your picture element, the actual display of the data result of the use of the picture element. The picture element variable data lighted arrive at the video signal input with the display monitor. The picture element off the cup of the pixel pelves are contained in horizontal scan lines that cross the face of the cathode tube, horizontal vertical sweep line with continuous repetitive nature. Pictures of the mirror character of the graph that can be created with the display varying with the intensity of the bright and brightness of the picture element, the top of the conjunction with the phosphorus coating of the face for the cathode ray tube. Remember the picture picture element for the horizontal line varies on the device actual number of the picture of the element depending on the frequency bandwidth of the video monitor, the number of the character for the display of the online physical size of the screen. Each picture element, if it's addressed in the row of the column, address of the picture element, the number of the left, the right of the horizontal line, column number of the horizontal line, row number of the picture element, minimum will have the blank out the full intensity shape of the mining of the display. The device is capable of the display picture element with various degree of the intensity of the display of the graphics. Characters to assemble the screen within such a way the dot matrix head print the character for the high areas the horizontal line picture element of each line with the character. The figure 229 show the generation character 8 and 7 the picture of the marks of the 9 horizontal line high characters will be with the effect of the 7 by 9 dot matrix. The picture elements you the build of the character will the full intensity remain. The picture element of the matrix would be blank. If the dark character with the lighted screen with the desire of the character picture elements would be blank, and the remainder to display with the full intensity. Show the 79 picture element characteristics. Approximately 640 picture elements per horizontal line are required for the display with the 80 character line. Therefore, expected 140,000 picture elements of raster scan display screen, 80 alphanumeric characters per line, 25 lines. All right, horizontal vertical resolution. Horizontal resolution is a defined term of the number of the picture element that can be displayed of the horizontal line without overlapping running it into. They are often stored and stated in terms of the line of the resolution. In other words, the monitoring with a horizontal resolution 1,000 lines each for the display, 1,000 vertical lines, 1,000 picture elements per line. Vertical resolution depends on the number of the horizontal scan line with a particular display with the raster, but generally the greater number of the scan line with the easter for the result of the horizontal line with the display of the caster remain the 2 point with the couple with the merger point where the variation between the lines can be detected by the human eye. Or displaying data on the raster scan screen with the raster screen. Display with the red pad of the nature of the raster frame. The display of approximately 30 times a second. The basic video monitor does nothing more than display of the video signals it receives. If no video signal is received, then all the picture elements remain blank, and screen is blank within each of the frame. For the display of accurately, each and every frame from the mat must be blank and blank of the same picture elements. The digital algorithms drive the video monitor the design of the aim for the repetitive nature of the frame, but they can also be fixed the number of the picture element of the screen display. Therefore, the content of the display screen are organized with the data unit called the page. The page contains status the picture element of the display screen of the page usually stored in some of the form of the random access memory. The RAM chip that begins with the most common the content of the page memory with something called the video memory continually scanned by the video generation logic that you develop the video signal of the particular element of the display picture element located for the page memory. The reading time to develop the video signal of the picture element display the horizontal line. If it is displayed, if the display is to be changed with the content of the page memory must be changed with the display with the screen change with the new tab with the store in the page memory. The address the method used with the page memory. Unformatted display. The display with the reference page memory of the picture element is called unformatted fully populated display. With the display must be commonly used with the graphic rather than alphanumeric characters. Formatted display often on display with the organized characters position line number. The display with one with the formatted display with the display method used with the device displaying alphanumeric character with only value with an alternate graphic capability. Video generation logic at the top of the display with the scans entire page memory before the generated the display picture element. This is the difference of the new tab with the written into the page. Remember, the individual picture element is drafted does not use the character drafted use the reference of the page number, page memory. The scan is screen organized with the character line with each line made with a fixed number of the characters portion of the column with a fixed number of the character lines and the character arrangement. The common arrangement found with the display screen the 25 to 80 character line with the 2,000 characters. The character set with the display with the device formatted screen with screens instead of ROMs and program ROMs. This is the matrix picture element for the patterns of the individual's character that these displayed or stored. Different characters have made the display simple to replace with the ROM and program ROM chip with a new chip contained with the different character patterns. Upon receipt of the character code of the row with the column address of the device logical reading of the picture element dotted matrix ROM writes the pattern with the appropriate characteristic position same member of the desired character with the display with the correct position out of the display. Device to store the code of the page of the memory, the code of the picture element dot with the scanning memory to the display of the reference character for the screen. The use of the format display with the great simplified the program requirement to display the alphanumeric data. Flat panel display. The number of the display method you design to reduce the depth of the cathode ray tube to cover the length of the tube of the device. The commonly collectively known with the panel display with the three tip of the flat panel display commonly used the computer system liquid crystal display, gas plasma display, electroluminous display. Screen of flat panel display with the made use of the pair with the electrode. Each pair with the electrode is used to generate one picture element. Liquid crystal gas electroluminescent display with the not generated with the over the own light picture element. The LCD or the external lights over the left and cover the backlight with the computer appellation. Liquid crystal material with the between the charged electrodes between the translucent voltage applied with the backlight to shine the picture through the picture element. In the glass panel with the display with the picture element, the light with the generator of the ionized gas with the neon or argon between the charge with the electron with gas plasma in the display, stimulating the lucent material of the same manner electroluminescent display. In any other case, picture element that only emits the light with the electrodes have that has voltage applied to them. One of the advantages of a flat panel display with a smaller voltage required by the operator from the cathode ray to the gas the display with approximately 2,000 volts. The chart with the electrode with the extra luminous pump display requires only 20 volts. The picture element of the display with the drift of the row with the map of the display with the main with the 737,280 picture elements, 960 rows, 786 columns have been developed. The picture elements over the flat panel of the display with the light continually. This would require with a larger amount of the number, the greater X of the heat with the subsequent sequential scan, similar with the cathode ray raster that you once again the page member. There's the picture element of the electrodes are on and off the scan sequentially address the menu. Remember the picture element of the display with the top and bottom until we turn off the scanning, starting with the first picture element at the top of the row in line with the ending with the last picture element at the bottom row. The picture element to turn off and on and off the higher and enough frequency of the human eye with a typical flicker of the off and on off cycle. The sequence can scan like picture elements that continues repetitively once within the page. There must be chain with the chain of the display panel display with the formatted, unformatted, the same with the items for the cathode ray display. Alright, Chapter 2 Summary.